I wanted to start off this training today talking about how to get back in the gym, different kinds of training. There's going to be a lot of different topics that we talk about here today. Let me make sure I got all the slides set up. It's going to be very informal. It's not scripted, so I might mess up, stumble, things like that. But we're going to talk about the who, what, why, the where, everything about training, sets, reps, what kind of training, when to do it, what's the goal, things like that. Okay, principles of training. So as it says here, the complete gym training guide for dads, master strength, performance, endurance, mobility, and recovery for sustainable fitness. Okay, we want to get back into the gym the right way. Just read that whole slide, I know. Okay, so like it says here, most dads who return to fitness after a time away make the same mistake. They focus only on building muscle or getting strong, miss some critical components that create sustainable injury-free progress. Okay, so that includes the 5 pillars of essential training: strength training, performance training, endurance training, mobility, and recovery. And just like this says here, if you balance them all, you don't just build a physique, you build a capable, resilient body that enhances your daily life and longevity, right? Because this isn't about looking good in the mirror. I mean, that's part of it. Let's be real. But you want to be able to play with your kids, right? You want to be able to go hang out with your family, or, if a buddy go ask you to play basketball or turkey bowl for Thanksgiving, you're going to be able to get out there and not worried about tearing your Achilles or anything like that. Okay, so the balance approach, the 5 pillars of the complete fitness approach that we take. So strength training, obviously it builds muscle, increases your capacity to build force, makes you more powerful. It improves your appearance, increases your metabolic rate, and builds a foundation for all athletic qualities, right? So being that you're going to be leaner, you're going to have more lean mass, which is going to increase your thermic effect, which is going to increase your metabolic rate, right? You're going to have higher thermic effect, meaning you're going to burn more calories just by sitting there. Performance training teaches your body to move athletically and efficiently, translating strength into real world power, speed, agility, and coordination, right? So this is actually moving like an athlete, running, jumping, cutting, stopping, and not feeling like your ankles or like you said, your Achilles are going to explode. Okay. So this is the performance training. This is where we take the strength training, cool, but then we make it functional, right? Like we want to be able to do things, hike, run, play sports, go throw the football or baseball. Right. And so endurance training is the 3rd pillar. Develop your cardiovascular, metabolic capacity for sustained effort, improving your heart, fat burning efficiency, right? So this is all about being healthy. This here is for heart health. It's for longevity. The higher VO2 max you are, the longer you live. VO2 max is just how much oxygen that you can use or that's available for your body to use in your tissues when you're working out. The higher that number is, the better. Like Lance Armstrong, like his body is just flooding with oxygen, right? Because his body is able to take it from his blood, from his breath to his blood into his muscles very efficiently. And that's all by training, right? So we train our lungs, but then that helps us to actually train the other systems in our body, the mitochondria, to get more efficient at transporting these oxygen molecules. Mobility training. So you want to be stiff, right? Like you want to be able to just hop on the floor and hang out with your kids. If they're playing Legos, you want to be able to pop down there. You want to be able to reach behind. Like I hear this all the time. I can't reach behind my seat to grab my bag. Just little stuff like that, right? We want to stay mobile. We don't just want to be a robot or a big tin man. We want to be able to move. Okay. And then recovery. So this is probably one of the most important things. I know I said endurance training is good. That's for longevity, but the most important thing for continuing to work out, to be able to stack days on each other, is going to be recovery. Because if you work out really hard 2 days and you sleep like crap, well, that 3rd day, that workout's going to be crap. You're not going to get as much out of it, and you're just going to feel like crap. So recovery includes sleep, nutrition, and active recovery. Okay. So it's sleeping, like I mentioned. If you don't sleep a lot, you're going to feel like crap. But then also if you don't eat right, like if you're eating Hot Pockets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're not going to feel great when you're, going to recover, right? You're going to be a lot more sore. Your body's not going to have the nutrients it needs to take to the cells to repair the cells and repair the muscles. So it's going to take these crappy building blocks that you're giving it, these Hot Pockets, and it's going to go try to build these beautiful big muscles and structures that you want. It doesn't make sense, right? And that's how I feel when people are telling me, oh, I'm eating this, this, and this. I'm like, well, you expect that to translate into this? Everyone always uses this analogy, but it's true. It's like you wouldn't put shitty gas in a Ferrari and expect it to perform right. Like you get these F1 cars, you can't put regular gas in it. It's not going to perform right. So that's what you got to try and do by eating Oreos and having Coke for breakfast. Active recovery. So this is where your body actually adapts, repairs tissue, grows stronger from the training stimulus. If you don't get your recovery right, you're going to waste your time on everything else. I would say recovery is the biggest thing. That's the most important part of this piece. And if you don't get this right, you don't know when to push, you don't know when to pull back. You're going to be, you're not going to get as much as you're training. You're going to get hurt, and you're going to have a bunch of problems that are going to result from that. Understanding your goals. Okay. So different goals for different training approaches require different training approaches. So aesthetics, are you just trying to look good? Right. Are you just trying to look good in the mirror, have a lean body fat, and be a model on a magazine cover? Right. Are you trying to actually be able to perform? Right. So you see like these Calvin Klein models that have their shirts off, like you ask them to run, they're probably the most athletic dudes you've ever seen. So performance, right? Do you want to be able to perform well? Do you want to be athletic? Do you want to be able to develop functional strength, cut, run, jump, do all the things that you and your kids and your family and your friends want to do? Endurance. Are you just trying to run long distances? Are you trying to be a cyclist, a long distance swimmer, long distance runner, things like that, hiker? And then longevity, right? So these are all different things that you can go for. Now, can you have some aesthetics while being able to perform and having good endurance with a longevity? That is exactly the goal, right? But what this is showing here is some people work out just for aesthetics. Some people work out for performance, endurance, and longevity. You can even put strength, right? Some people just work out just to be strong. But the thing is they all are trained differently, right? Which is going to be evident when we start going through this. I'm going to let you guys know, like, hey, this is just for aesthetics, or this is why we do this. This is performance. This is to get strong. We do this cardio so that you can have, good endurance. And then we do our recovery, our mobility, and that kind of stuff for longevity. Okay. So it's all going to be baked into the program. What is strength training? Strength training involves moving your body or external weights against resistance to create tension, right? It's just basically having some kind of resistance against the muscle that causes the muscle to tear. So when you strength train, you cause the muscle to tear, which then you then have to repair. And so as you tear the muscle and repair, it makes the muscle bigger, right? So hypertrophy, the biological process of increasing the size of your muscle. Progression is increasing the weight and force production and the volume. And then foundation builds the baseline strength required for all athletic capabilities, right? So with strength training, you're going to have hypertrophy phases. You should be progressing your weight to get yourself stronger, to do more volume through endurance, what have you. And then this is going to allow you to have the foundation that you need to go run, to go jump, to do swim, to go swimming, hiking, to do all those things. It all starts with strength training. As far as the rest of your athletic stuff is concerned. The science of muscle growth, 3 essential conditions. Okay. So mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and muscle damage. So I mentioned muscle damage earlier, but mechanical tension. So you're not going to build muscle here. There's no tension, right? Mechanical tension means a weight, a band, something that's giving you resistance and providing tension in the muscle. Metabolic stress. So what happens as you're working, you build up that lactic acid. That's why when you get to 10, 15 reps, your muscle starts burning. That's lactic acid, right? That's metabolic stress. And that's what we're looking for, right? The more lactic acid that we produce, the more we're stressing the muscle, which means the higher adaptations we're going to have. Within reason, right? Obviously, you could push it to where you get rhabdomyolysis and all that other stuff, but metabolic stress is typically good for the body. A good stress. Muscle damage. So, like I said, those are microscopic tears, and the body rebuilds these tears by building new, thicker tissue. It gets stronger, it gets bigger. Your muscle cross-sectional area increases because what your body says, hey, what we just did last time tore these muscles. And if we continue to do that, these muscles are going to continue to tear and it's going to cause the muscle to fail. So what your body does is as you're healing, it goes and puts more amino acids, puts more building blocks, more Legos. And it's like, hey, we need to fortify this area because homeboy is going to come back in a couple of days and he's going to pick up this dumbbell again and we're going to start tearing again, right? So it starts to repair so that the next time you get stronger. That's why if you keep going to the gym, your muscles get bigger because your body is adapting to the metabolic stress and the mechanical tension that you're putting on it. All right. Where are we at? So hypertrophy 6 to 15, it's optimal for most people, but not the only option. Okay. Like if you're looking to get stronger, this isn't for you, right? You want to be anywhere from the 3 to 6 range, a lot closer to the 3, but that's what you want for hypertrophy. So it's not for everybody, but it works so well because you have optimal tension, right? It's not too heavy to where you're having, it's super fatiguing. You're able to maintain your form better, and then you don't fatigue your central nervous system. So when you go super heavy, you do hang cleans, you're running, you're sprinting, you really fatigue your central nervous system. Just like athletes, basketball players, football players, when they're playing a lot, their stress is so high and their CNS levels is really stressed. So that's why they have rest days where they do nothing just to bring and modulate their CNS system. a lot of injuries happen just because the nervous system is overworked, not necessarily a lot of the tissues. So that's your hypertrophy range. Okay, comparing rep ranges and their specific benefits. So 1 to 5, like I mentioned just a little bit earlier, heavy power and strength. Okay, build strength, maximum strength. It teaches the nervous system to recruit more muscle fibers. It makes that muscle be more efficient because it's like, holy shit, we need to use all these muscle fibers. This is heavy. We got to get this up, right? And so high nervous system demand requires longer rests. Okay, 3 to 5 minutes for those muscles in the CNS to recover, right? Because you're asking the nervous system saying, hey, we need to get all these lights on so we can do this. And so your body has to flick on all those lights, which just causes a lot of activity, which causes a lot of fatigue. Places more stress on joints and connective tissues. Looks like some of this is cut off. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, best for 1 and 2 heavy compounds. Okay, it's just saying some BS. All right. Okay, so sweet spot 6 to 12. So that's where we're going to usually stay, 6 to 12. We'll stay on the 6 rep range if we're trying to build some strength. And then if we want to build more hypertrophy and more endurance, we'll go up to the 12 reps. But that's usually what people stay around, set to 10, set to 12. This is good because you are going to get hypertrophy. And once you get into these ranges, you're not going to be able to have a weight that's heavy enough to where you're going to require your body to grow more. You're not going to cause as much muscle damage. So you see here moderate rest times 2 to 3 minutes with the hypertrophy stage. So this is what we'll do, more like minute and a half, 2 minutes. And this year metabolic stress like is endurance. It's if you're doing 15 reps. Everyone says like toning. Not really true, but that's what people know as like endurance and toning. Shorter duration, 60, 90 seconds, pretty quick. Okay, let's move on. Balance and stimulus with the principles of adaptation. Okay, so principle of adaptation. Training only provides the stimulus. The actual growth and strengthening occurs during recovery. That's like I was saying. Your recovery is the most important thing because if you get that wrong, if you beat up your muscles in the gym and then you beat up your recovery, your body's not going to have anything to rebuild and it's just going to be shit. So you're just basically kicking yourself in the ass twice by doing the workout and getting beat up and then not recovering, your body's going to feel twice as bad. Whereas if you just kick your ass once and during your training and then allow yourself to recover, you're going to feel a lot better. If you train too frequently without adequate rest, you interrupt the adaptation process, leading to overtraining and plateaus, right? Your body's trying to recover and you keep breaking it down, right? And so it's trying to recover and breaking it down. So your body is really, really stressed, always working. So it's always on. And that's when you lead to fatigue because your body's always having to repair work, and the repair is shitty because you're working too much and you're not sleeping enough. So that's the principle of adaptation. That's why you want to really focus on recovery. But principle of adaptation just basically says, hey, whatever I put on the muscle and whatever I demand of my body, that's what it's going to improve. Or that's how I'm going to force it to get better. Like if I lift a lot of weights, I'm going to get stronger. If I run a lot, my lungs are going to get better, right? So this is just the principle of adaptation. Whatever stress you put on it, your body's going to start to adapt. 2 to 3 times per week. Research shows the best stimulus for training. It produces better results. It keeps the muscle protein synthesis elevated for more frequently. So if you're doing back, chest, you want to work out that muscle 2 to 3 times per week. 3 times is a lot. I'm just going to be honest. I don't really do anything 3 times a week. I stay at the 2 times a week, and that's where we'll stay mostly for the program as well. 72-hour rule. If you're training a muscle group twice per week, space those sessions by at least 72 hours. So Monday to Thursday, you want to give your body time to repair, to recover, to rebuild those tissues before you go break them up again. Because if your body's trying to repair and it hasn't fully repaired, then you're just going to be damaging already damaged tissues. And that's, like I said, that's where your CNS goes up. That's where your injuries go up. And that's when you have pain. Okay. So 72-hour rule. 2 times per week, principle of adaptation, and then principle of reversibility. Almost missed this one. Use it or you lose it. Your body, if you get really strong and get really big, the only reason why your body did that is because you kept training and you kept picking up heavy shit. If you stop picking up heavy shit, your body's like, oh, okay, well, we're not having to maintain this body mass and all this strength. It's just taking a lot of energy. Let's just do away with that. And that's when you start to lose it. Which is why when you go in the gym again, your body starts rebuilding again because your body's like, oh shit, okay, we're getting back to work. All right, let's go. He's not going to stop. And that's why your body will adapt to it. Okay. So principle of adaptation and then reversibility. So it can adapt, but they can also go back. Full range of motion. Okay. So junk volume wastes time. Focus on these 3 elements. Okay. So what makes a quality set? So Junk volume, if you're doing bad reps, you're wasting your time, right? You want to focus on full range of motion, high quality set. So junk volume, waste time. Focus on these three elements: full range of motion, proximity to failure, adequate rest. Okay, so full range of motion. You don't want half reps. You all seen the guy who's doing these little dips or the little chest presses. We're not doing that. Okay, full range of motion allows the muscles to stretch. As it stretches, you're actually activating your stretch receptors, which then forces the muscle to grow. There's studies that show that if you just stretch a muscle, it'll actually get stronger and get bigger just by stretch. It's called stretch mediated hypertrophy. Okay, so that's why stretching it and going through the full range of motion, that's one of the reasons why, or that's one of the qualities that makes up a quality rep or quality set. Okay. Proximity to failure. You need like the last 1 to 3 reps to be super freaking hard. Like you want to barely be able to get it up. Still maintaining form. You don't want to be swinging, but still maintaining form and struggling. And so you should finish this set with 1 to 3 reps in reserve. So like you should be able to do 1 or 2 more, right? Like after you're done with your set, you might have to be able to do 1 or 2, but I want you to go pretty close to failure. Usually when I do it, I might have 1 left in the tank, but a lot of times like I'll empty the clip. I'll go full failure. We'll probably do reps in reserve, like probably 1 to 2 to start. And then after we get you going, we're gonna definitely take you all the way to failure, because failure is where you build the muscles. Failure is where your body has to work so damn hard that it fails. And your body's like, okay, well, if he's going to do that again and I keep failing, I'm going to get hurt. And so your body really tries to kind of fortify the tissues and stuff so that doesn't happen. So that's why training to failure is so important. And then adequate rest. So you want not only your recovery, like there's two kind of recovery. It's long-term recovery. So like day to day, that's more so like rest, sleep, stuff like that. Nutrition, but adequate rest between sets is, hey, are we giving our cells enough time to recover? Like your cells can only use certain energy pathways. One's PCR and one's glycolysis. Those are the two you use most often. And if you use them repeatedly, you're going to deplete that energy source. And so once that energy source gets depleted, then you use a different energy source. And sometimes, in this case, the energy source that you would use if you deplete those systems is not as optimal. It's called the Krebs cycle. And actually, no, it's oxidative phosphorylation. The Krebs cycle is part of glycolysis. But the oxidative phosphorylation that's when you start using other things and other energy means, which you don't want to do. And so that's why adequate rest, especially like when you're sprinting, you need longer rest periods, because that PCR system takes a while to regenerate. When you're doing say weightlifting, for example, you use more of your glycolysis. That takes a little bit longer, 1 to 2 minutes, or sorry, it takes a little bit shorter, but you can use it for a little bit longer. But that's why you have to really pay attention to how much rest you're getting, depending on what type of exercise you're doing. Because if you try to go sprint and take a 30-second rest, oh, you're done. You're toast. And your legs are going to be, everything's, going to be toast, because you didn't give your body enough time to rest, to recover, to get oxygen and blood to these tissues. All right, next one. SAID principle, actually. The specific adaptation to impose demands. So this is what I've been saying the whole time. Whatever stress you put on it, your body will adapt. So if you only train your chest and you only, do bench press, then only your chest is going to grow, right? That's specific adaptation. It's not like your calves are going to grow, right? And so if you don't do any weightlifting, you're not going to grow. If you only do endurance training, then your body's going to start getting better at endurance training, and it's going to start getting better mitochondria, better oxygen transport, better, glucose and energy management. But whatever stress you put on it, it's going to exactly react to that. It's not like you can go running and then all of a sudden you just get bigger. That'd be like a random adaptation, right? It's like, hey, I do this and then this comes out. Like I do this input and this output. That's not how it works. It's very specific, right? If I do this input, I'm going to get this result, right? And that's why the SAID principle is developed. As long as you stand by it and saying, hey, I want to get stronger. Okay, we need to lift weights. If I want to run faster, then you need to freaking run faster more frequently. Okay. So pretty self-explanatory. The non-negotiable, progressive overload and exercise selection. Okay. So progressive overload is going each week or each, period is going heavier than you did before, progressively overloading it. Kind of like if the ocean's cold and you don't want to just jump in, you slowly expose yourself to that cold. You're progressively overloading your system rather than just jumping in, right? You're going slowly but surely. Excuse me. So how to overload? Increase the weight, which is intensity. Increase the reps, which is volume. Increase the technique, improve technique. So better tension. So longer, slower reps, right? Longer time under tension, more lactic acid, more muscle damage. But the principle of overload is to force your body to grow. Just like if you swing a bat a lot, you're going to start growing calluses, right? You're going to slowly overload that, and your body's going to respond to that overload. Okay, progressively, it's going to get stronger. If you progressively overload your biceps, they're going to get bigger, right? Same thing. So exercise selection, compound movements, 80% of your training, isolation movements, 20%. Okay. So squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, rows, pull-ups. You want big muscle groups working. Isolation movements, 20% of training. And it's definitely going to take up about 20% of your overall energy. Okay, if you compare a pull-up to a bicep curl, those are definitely different energy demands, right? And so that's why compound movements, you want to do more of those. They're going to require more energy. Isolation movements, these are to keep you just overall healthy. Doing your accessory movements is what we call them too. Compounds are good, but if you don't add an isolation and accessory movements, that's where you get your injuries, especially due to compensations. Okay, so strength training workout. Okay, so this is right here. So bench press, right? We're doing more strength here. Bent over row. This is like a sample workout, but you could see here we're applying overload. Sorry. So you can see here as it's going 5-5, boom, boom, boom. Like this wouldn't all be one, like in one training routine, because you wouldn't do all of these in one, anyways, right? So, say dumbbell press. This is like back, shoulders, tricep, lat pull down. So this is a lot of different ones. But what I want to show you is, hey, this is a compound movement, compound movement, compound movement, isolation, isolation. So you can see 8 or 4 compared to 2, right? It's a bigger distribution of more compounds. But say this is the rep range. You're working on more strength here. You're working on more hypertrophy here. And then once you get to the 15, that's working on more endurance. Okay, let's go to the next one. Section 2, performance training. Okay, so while strength training builds the engine, performance training teaches you how to use it, how to drive it, how to transmit those forces, how to move more efficiently, explosively. So power is the ability to exert maximum force in minimum time. So if you're very powerful, you're able to really push something really fast, right? Or squat up super quick. Offensive linemen who are very powerful, they're able to gather stands and push somebody over and run the freaking offensive lineman over to get the quarterback, right? Those guys are very powerful. Speed, think Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, right? These guys are fast. You can move from one point to another very fast, irregardless of strength. And then agility, the ability to accelerate, decelerate, and change direction quickly and efficiently. That's your ability to change direction, cut. So like basketball players have really good agility. They're very shifty. Running backs, very shifty. Doesn't mean they're fast. Doesn't mean they have good high end speed, because after they do their little jukes, they can't. Sometimes they're not as fast as on the top end. That's why some of the when you're looking at scouts, you're hearing scouts like, yeah, he has good agility, but not as good top end speed. Okay. So performance versus bodybuilding. Different goals require different methods. Okay. So bodybuilding approach, you want maximum size, symmetry, and aesthetic appearance. It's all about how it looks. It's all about the package that you bring into the stage, right? So you like do a lot of isolation lifts to get these small little individual muscles to pop when they're on stage. Which requires a lot of mind muscle connection, right? Slow, controlled reps, maximal time under tension, right? Going to failure. So those muscles have to get as big as they possibly can. Often use machines and isolation exercises, mostly in one plane, which is why you hear the strength training or the bodybuilders are very, rigid, because they only train usually in one plane of motion. They're not really using 2-3 planes of motion where they're doing rotations, swings, and stuff like that. But that's where performance training comes in, right? That's where you have your primary goals: athletic capability, power output, efficient movement. You want them to move through all 3 planes, because when you're moving, you're running, you're changing direction. You're using all 3 planes of motion. Execution speed. So performance training, fast, explosive, to train the nervous system to recruit fibers quickly. So when you go in the game, you're able to move shifty. You're able to get that burst when you need it. Which is why a lot of times if you train tired, or when you train tired, or the exercise that you do when you're tired is very important, because you want those things that you're training tired to show up in the games. But if you're training in a correctly, in the setup of your workout, like where the exercises are in your workout, if that's not done correctly, then you're going to sacrifice some speed. Movement patterns, uses free weights, jumps, multiplanar movements, side-to-side rotations. Like I said, mimics real-world rotations. Movements where you're rotating, you're jumping, you're cutting, you're changing direction, you're moving, you're dodging. You're not moving in one plane that's slow and controlled, right? This is a lot of anticipation. You're having to react to other people, not just move weight that you know is going to be there where it's going to be, right? So there's no reaction in bodybuilding. Principle of specificity, right? So whatever specific demands you put on it, adaptations are specific to the stimulus. So like we said, the SAID is specific adaptations to impose demand, right? The adaptations that you get are specific to what goes in, right? So if you put in strength training, you're going to get stronger, right? That's the specificity, right? It's not like I can get put in strength and then be faster. It doesn't work like that. Or, hey, let me try to run faster and then all of a sudden get stronger. It does not work like that, right? You have to do strength to get stronger. You have to do speed to get faster. That's the principle of specificity and the SAID principle. Okay, explosive training and movement quality. Build and power safely and effectively. Plyometrics and power. What are plyometrics? So plyometrics is the rapid shortening and lengthening of your muscles. So think about a quick jump, right? Your muscles are contracting, are lengthening, and then they're contracting, right? So it's stretching and then shortening. That shortening cycle is what we call plyometric. That's the people who can go quick in that stretch shortening cycle. Boom, are the fastest, twitchiest people. So force production is your goal. It's your goal is to fire as many muscle fibers and as many motor units as you can to get the job done, right? To jump, to run, to cut, to throw the ball. The faster you can do that, the more power you're going to have and the more explosive you're going to be. Quality and overload. Movement quality first. Before maximizing jump height, you must master landing mechanics and deceleration, right? So before you can soup up your turbojet, you got to make sure that you can land it. Or before you get your Ferrari going, you got to make sure you can stop it, right? Ferrari is no good without brakes. So you got to be able to first learn how to stop, decelerate, change direction, and how to change forces before you can actually get faster, right? So we do movement quality first. Hey, can you actually get in and out of cuts? Can you slow down? Can you stop? Can you produce that force safely? And then we overload. So that's when we add weight. Progressive overload means increasing the speed of the movement, the height of the jump, or the complexity of the drill. Sometimes we'll overload it with some weight. We'll have a sled, we'll have maybe some bands, but overload in performance is possible too. So we add a small component of strength to get that power, right? It's because we want them to have. So when you're doing like power training, you typically can't do super heavy weight. You do lighter weight, but you move it faster, and that's what gets them stronger. Okay, and that's what we'll do. Neurologic adaptation, rewiring the system. So performance training primarily drives neurologic adaptations. It just rewires your nervous system on how to move faster, how to move more efficiently, how to increase the firing rate of those motor units and those muscle fibers, like I was saying, right? And then in order to do that faster and stronger, you strength train as you're rewiring the system to get stronger, faster, more powerful, right? That's the dynamic duo right there. Okay, putting the principles into practice. So power and athleticism. Okay, so this is just an example here. So you do vertical power, core power, hinge power, lateral power, acceleration, right? So you have box jumps, medicine ball slams, kettlebell swings, lateral bounds, short sprints, right? So you're using different planes of motion. Medicine ball slams, you're going side to side, right? You're going over your head, you're going down, you're going back. And so the whole goal here is intent over fatigue. I never trained to failure in this. And what I have my guys do is like, I always say, hey, like if you're doing this and you have to slow down while you're doing the rep, I don't want you to do that. I want you to slow down in between reps, right? Every single rep should be 100%. You should be doing this like your freaking hair's on fire. Like you're about to run through a brick wall. And if you don't hit it hard enough, you're not going to get through that brick wall, right? That's how it should be. And so if you have to take a break in between reps, or if you have to take a break in order to make that happen, do that, because I want the reps to be A1. Because when you're tired at the end of the game, I don't want it to be some shit ass reps or some shit production or some shit performance because you train like that. Okay, applying overload. So like we were saying on the last slide, jumping higher, running faster, throwing the ball harder, adding a little bit of weight, resistance. But the biggest thing is rest. Rest is crucial. If you're out of breath and you're doing too much, that means you need to. You're going to be out of breath, right? But if you're doing too many too quick, you're going to downtrain your nervous system. You're not even going to be able to produce that force because you fatigued yourself too much. So you're basically fatigued. You basically just shot yourself in the foot. The thing you're trying to train, you already fatigued and you have nothing left in the tank. Okay. Placement. So always do it at the beginning, right? That's why I said earlier. It's really important when you do it, because if you do it tired, like we just said earlier too on the other slide, and then earlier on this slide, if you train that tired, then you're just going to get tired results. What is endurance training, right? So heart health, fat oxidation, and stamina. Okay, so this is when, like I said, you want longevity. You want to be able to have a strong, healthy heart that can pump blood and oxygen to your tissues, to your body, so you don't have vascular issues, you don't have circulation issues, stuff like that. Fat oxidation is going to help you burn more fat, and then it's going to increase your stamina for your workouts and throughout your day. All right. So you have energy systems and aerobic training, how your body uses different types of exercise. Like I was saying, the ATP PC system, anaerobic glycolysis, and aerobic system, right? So like I was saying earlier, when you're doing sprints and you're doing stuff that requires high intent, short amount of time, you're going to use this ATP PCR system. It's phosphagen. So like 40-yard dash, it depletes really quick, right? Then you use your ATP and stored creatine. So you use it, boom, you got to rest it, you got to recover it. It's like using like a boost in a video game, or like your NOS. Like you can't just keep using it over and over and over. You got to give it a break, and that's what this is. Anaerobic glycolysis, that's your longer sprints, like basketball. It uses a lot of anaerobic glycolysis. They're not really running for longer than a minute and a half. Usually they stay in the half court and they're doing stuff in the half court, and then they sprint. Or they're sprinting short distances in the half court and they get, some rest here and there. That's more so anaerobic glycolysis. And then aerobic system is like soccer. Those are long distance runners. That's when you're going to use that aerobic system. You're going to use more carbohydrates for anaerobic glycolysis, like I was saying, your glucose. And then you use fats, carbohydrates, and oxygen here. Okay. So the principle of specificity is, like I was saying, train the right engine. So if you're doing sprints, you want to train this one. If you're doing basketball, stuff like that, you want to do this one. If you're doing more long-term, you want to do more or cross country, you're going to want to do more aerobic. Okay. All right. So heart rate zones and the 80-20 principle. Why going hard all the time ruins your endurance. Zone 2, this is where you're going to spend all your time. Okay. This is where you're going to spend a majority of your work. This is when you're going to build your pace. So you can see here, 80-20 rule. You're going to spend 80% of your time training this one, and then you're going to do 20% of your time doing zone 4. Okay. If you have no interest in doing long-term runs or no interest in running at all, I don't think that, we can just do sprints. We can do bike sprints. We can do, regular sprints. We can just do this all day, and it'll actually increase your heart rate too. And your VO2 and everything like that. But the zone 2 is going to be 60 or 70% of your heart rate. You should be able to talk. You should be able to stay around like 120 to 140 of your heart rate. Anything above that, you're going to be zone 4 and 5, and it's going to be max intensity. You're just training a different system. So this right here, if you do this, you're going to be surprised. Your sprints and everything is going to get better. Everything overall is going to get better. That's why you spend more time doing this. It's also less stress on the body, less stress on the nervous system, less stress on the joints. This is going to be a bigger CNS depleter, and it's going to make you more tired. That's why in competition like basketball, football, there's a lot of injuries because there's a lot of CNS demand. Their CNS gets fatigued, especially at the end of the season. That's when they get hurt. All right, building the engine. Sample endurance plan, building the engine, 80-20. So this just shows you zone 2, conversational pace, 45 minutes, right? Recovery, 25 minutes, hit run or hit intervals. And then zone 2, another hike, 60 minutes. So whatever you like to do, swim, run, whatever, you're going to do that. Rowing, and then just apply overload, right? For zone 2, you're going to add time, not speed. Okay. Talk test to know you're in zone 2. If you can talk, it's great. And then as far as applying overload to the sprints, you're just going to try to do them faster, or increase the distance by just a little bit, or decrease the time that you're going to do less distance. That would probably actually be more applicable. Okay, recovery and mobility, section 4. So basically, training provides a stimulus, but progress happens during recovery. Like I was saying, mobility ensures your joints move freely and safely, while recovery strategies allow your tissue and nervous system to repair and you to feel good, right? So range of motion is the ability of a joint to move through a full intended spectrum without pain or restriction, tissue quality, nervous system. Okay. So a lot of the reason why I do mobility and recovery is to down train the central nervous system, right? To turn it from a fight or flight to a parasympathetic, right? Sympathetic is like, oh, I'm always competing. I'm running from a bear or a lion, right? And that's when you start to get hurt. That's when your cortisol goes up. That's when your stress is the worst. That's when you get sick, and that's when you get hurt, right? So we want to turn that off. We want to decrease the demand on the nervous system. We want to decrease the central nervous system and put it in a more parasympathetic state. So that's when we'll do stuff like breath work, sauna, relaxation, hanging out with your family, stuff like that. Mobility versus flexibility. Why stretching always isn't enough. So flexibility is passive, right? That's how much I can move your joint. Like if you're sitting on a table, how much can I raise your leg up, right? Whereas mobility is active. Is if you're laying on a table, how much can you raise your leg up, right? It's kind of the same as like if you were to bend your leg like this, at opposed to if you did this, right? My freaking thing zooms in, so I messed it up. But it's like if you were to put your heel to your butt and then use your leg to put your heel to your butt, right? Flexibility, passively, you're going to be able to pull your leg up a lot further than you are able to just bend it up there, right? So those are the two differences: flexibility and mobility. It's always better to be mobile, have better mobility than flexibility. Because if I can move you around or if someone else can move you around, great. Can you do it yourself? Can you get into a deep squat? Can you get into these positions? Right. And same thing, principle versus versatility. If you don't use that range of motion, you'll lose it. Just like old people or people who drive in trucks or sit in chairs a lot, like they can't squat down, they can't get to the ground because they lose it because they didn't use it. All right. So dad maintenance daily flow, right? So cat cow, world's greatest, 90-90, squat holds with prying, wall slides, downward dog to cobra, right? These are some of the examples of the mobility stuff we're going to have in there, but you see it's nice and slow, right? It's nice and hold, you're chilling, you're going slow, you're taking your time, you're letting your nervous system calm down, you're breathing, right? So just like this says here, some of these notes, daily practice is best. It's like brushing your teeth. You want to do 10 minutes a day. It's better than doing 60. You want to just keep it just lubed up and the body just a little bit warm, at all times. And every day works better than, just once a week. Hold your breath. Like I said, you want to hold your breath, deep breaths. And then pre and post workout, you want to have some kind of stretching or mobility. Recovery and sleep, the foundation of all progress. Okay, sleep is the ultimate PED. That's where you get your repair. That's what I was saying. If you don't rest, if you don't recover, you're not going to be able to repair. Your body's not going to release growth hormone that's going to help repair these tissues, and you're going to stay in this fight or flight with a bunch of cortisol. Right, we'll get there. Nervous system recovery. So nervous system this is when your nervous system is going to be able to recover from the heavy lifting, from the explosive performance, from the drama on TV, from the stress in work, from your spouse fighting or whatever, yelling, your kids screaming. You need sleep so your body can calm all that down. So all that noise can go away, right? If you're sleeping 4 hours a day, you have a lot of input, you have a lot of shit, a lot of stress. Your body can't recover, and you have more inputs than someone that sleeps for 8 hours. Okay, so that's something to think about. 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Okay, 7 at the very least. If you're getting less than 7, you're doing yourself and your family, your boss, everybody a disservice. Nutrition and hydration. Okay, protein, the building blocks. It's like the Legos. Okay, that's what I was saying. You need to eat a lot of these good protein so your body can repair and rebuild and get stronger. So you need, I like about 1 gram of protein per body weight. So if you're 100 pounds, 100 grams of protein. If you're 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein. Okay. I'll show you how to get protein easy. A lot of people think it's hard. It's not hard. You don't need protein for a lot of it either. Protein powders. Okay. So carbs is the fuel. Okay. That's glycogen. This helps to restore your muscle glycogen in your body, helps to get more energy. So that way you can last for longer. You have more endurance. So you have energy for your next session. Hydration. Even 2% dehydration can significantly impair strength and performance. So you need to be drinking at least a gallon. I like at least a half gallon a day. I think gallons kind of overkill for a lot of people because then you're going to be using the restroom too much. Half gallon is plenty. Okay, at least need you drinking some water. Principle of adaptation: you don't get stronger in the gym. Okay, the gym is the stimulus. You recover while resting, sleeping, and eating right. Okay. And drinking the good stuff. So active versus passive recovery. So passive recovery is complete rest, minimal exertion. That's just laying on the couch. So sleeping, sitting, taking a complete day off from all physical activity. So that's like really good when you're sick, when you're sleep deprived, or when you're extremely fatigued, your central nervous system. But this is not how I want you guys recovering. I don't want passive recovery, right? This is lazy. I mean, you can be lazy, watch some Netflix, yeah, hang out, but I want active recovery, right? We want to go on walks. We want to do some gentle mobility. We want to hang out with our kids, right? Do some puzzles, right? This is like active recovery rather than just sitting out and vegging out. Okay. So low intensity movement that increases blood flow, 20-minute walk, light cycling, swimming, dedicated mobility routine. Like I said, playing with your kids, increases circulation, delivers nutrients to damaged tissues, clears out metabolic waste, and it speeds up the the repair process. Okay. I always say motion is lotion. The more you're moving, the better you're going to feel. It's the people who don't move, who sit at the desk, who always say, "Oh, I'm so tired." And yeah, it's because you don't do anything, right? If you were doing more active recovery, more walking, more, just activity in general, you'd feel a lot better. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. So this is a sample weekly schedule for the hybrid dad here. So this is just putting it all together. So you have your strength, your endurance, your performance, and then your lower body lift, your active recovery, your strength, your endurance, your passive recovery. Okay. Rest Sunday, take it off, right? This gives you 2 days a week, 2 days a week of rest, 2 days a week of rest. And then you can take out what a lot of my guys do is they'll just do like one cardio day. So typically I only require 4 days, but if you want to see, hey, what a full schedule is, this is what it would look like. This is when you're maximizing all of your energy systems and training to the max. Okay. So the golden rule, consistency over perfection. You don't need to hit every single workout perfectly. If you miss a day, pick back up where you left off. A B+ plan executed for 5 years will always beat an A+ plan for 5 weeks. Okay. So consistency is key. If you lose sleep one night, making up the other night, right? Like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you had one bad day. Don't stop. Oh, I can't get back. I just wasted. I sabotage, right? That's self-sabotage. That's what you've been doing. That's what you've done in the past. We're not doing that anymore. Okay. All right. Now, all right. That is pretty much all I have today for you guys on the training principles, different kinds of training, what we do for our training. If you want to stay connected, I'm here to help you. If you have questions, concerns, if you want to join our program, there's different ways you can reach out to us. Email, you can reach out to us via email to get started. If you want to shoot us a text, give us a call. We can start you via call. Visit us on our website or on our community Facebook group here. You can also go to our Instagram, which is Athlete Therapy, just like it says here, Instagram.com /athlete therapy, and you can find us there. If you have any questions, we'd love to work with you. I'd love to get you set up, get you on your way to being the healthier, better version of yourself. If that is you, if you are going to reach out, look forward to talking with you. If you're here for the content, stay tuned. We'll have some more coming out for you.